Hey, what's up? I'm Bon, and today I'm going to talk about the recent BioWare layoffs, what they may mean for Dragon Age Dreadwolf and for the next Mass Effect game, as well as touching on an important detail I think is being reported incorrectly. To jump right into it, BioWare announced via a blog on August 23rd that they were laying off 50 employees, and this was followed by a series of posts by devs who had found out they were leaving BioWare, including various studio veterans who had been around for many years, and some of them their entire careers. Jeff Grubb reported on his Giant Bomb and Personal Game Mess podcast that when EA split into EA Sports and EA Entertainment, Andrew Wilson, the head of EA, said that this would allow their studios to do what they want and, very importantly, be more accountable for their financials. Many studios at EA have been carried for years by the financial success of their sports games and their live service games like Apex Legends, which likely explains at least part of this cut and why it seems like it targeted some of the longer tenured and likely higher paid devs. This seems pretty reasonable to me. I know it's not, no one wants to see some of their favorite devs who wrote some of their favorite characters or worked on some of their favorite games get laid off. But it seems like if this was a money saving situation, then that explains who got picked, unfortunately. For Dragon Age Dreadwolf, this likely won't impact it too much, as it's likely nearly done and in the final stages of development. We found out almost a year ago, if not a year ago, that they hit alpha, and at that time Mark Dara, who had formerly worked on the game and is actually back there again, said that they went from alpha to release on the Inquisition in 6 months. So, while that obviously hasn't happened with Dreadwolf, it probably means the game is extremely far along. Per reporting by Jeff Grubb again on his podcast, there was a time where Dreadwolf was internally planned to release on September 2023, before various delays have now tentatively set it for summer of 2024, and it will more than likely get delayed again, but we can hope that it doesn't. It should be noted here that it's fairly common for studios to shed a lot of positions near the end or at the end of development on large AAA games. So this move may not be as big of an oddity, though the tenure of many of the devs does kind of imply that this may be a less than typical move by the studio. The larger impact could be on the next Mass Effect team. And the game, which was confirmed in the layoff blog to still be in pre-production with Andromeda and Anthem veteran Michael Gamble at the helm of the project still. We already knew that at the same time that Mark Dara had returned to BioWare as a consultant on Dreadwolf, that they had also pulled devs from the Mass Effect pre-production team to help finish the Dragon Age project. With Dreadwolf now not expected to release until mid-2024 at the earliest, it seems full production on the Mass Effect project cannot begin until at least late 2024, and at the earliest it may mean the game may not come out until 2027, 28. With 2023's in 7 day celebration quickly approaching, it'll be interesting to see how much they tease and reveal if the game really is that far out, especially considering how much they have revealed and teased in the last 3 years, especially in 2022. I did want to kind of investigate the claims by various outlets who were reporting on this story that BioWare only had 250 employees and that they may be down to as little as 200 after these layoffs. This number in general for any AAA studio seems like really, really small, especially for a studio with two separate studio locations, one in, I believe, Austin, Texas, and the other one in Edmonton up in Canada. And some quick research didn't give me any definitive, objective results, but there were multiple sources citing between 400 to 600 employees for BioWare. The most quote-unquote reliable source seems to be LinkedIn, which has BioWare listed as a 5 to 1,000 employee company, but more specifically has like a headcount growth chart, which is just a weird phrase, and that indicates that they roughly currently have around 600 devs. That's slightly up from August 2021, but it's 9% down since February of 2023. That's almost certainly due to the Star Wars Old Republic team going to that third-party studio or being broken up in general. This doesn't make the 50 people being laid off any less devastating or painful. I wish for all of them to land on their feet ASAP, obviously. But I do think there's a large difference between losing 8% of your workforce rather than losing more than 20% of your workforce. If the larger employee number is real, the 600-ish number, then it's possible that the Mass Effect team could have a decent number of people working on the pre-production side, even large enough to potentially begin production before Dreadwolf comes out and that team is done with that, while still having a vast majority of the devs on that Dragon Age team. I've seen the reporting be that like, well, they're gonna just work on one game after this at a time rather than working on two simultaneously, and with a studio around the size of 600 you can work on two. A studio around 200 can barely work on one game of a AAA level. So again, I've reached out, I've put out some feelers to see if I can get anyone from BioWare to like just say yes or no to these numbers, and to do it anonymously. So if you happen to be watching this, get at me and all the various ways I can be contacted, social media, email, and so on. But yeah, the 250 number, especially because it's being pushed and making the story seem a lot more negative and a lot more dooming than it probably needs to be, especially if that number is incorrect. The purpose of this video was to try to give a summary of what happened, some new details, and to talk about the size of BioWare, which I think is a really important detail when it comes to what BioWare's future may be. I am not panicking. It's unfortunate that some community members and other creators seem to be going the sky is falling route, even though it is understandable, especially for lifelong huge fans of this studio and its franchises. But more than anything, I just think we need to wait and see what happens, and to just be thinking at least about the people who got laid off. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked it, please hit the like button. If you want more of these kind of videos, please hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this whole situation. Give me some details if you have them, or just say hello. You can catch me as Bond Diesel over on Twitter, Twitch, Threads, Blue Sky, and all the other places. You can also check out my weekly gaming news podcast, The Bonfire, which is on all podcast platforms and on this YouTube channel. If you want to support me and my content, please consider visiting patreon.com/BondDiesel, or checking out all of my links in the description below. That's all I have for this one, so until next time.